Hey YouTube, this is Jeremy Yahoo Weeps. This is the first video in a new series that I'm going to be starting on the gospel. And verses that I think are very relevant to what the gospel is. Now the gospel, in my understanding, goes back very early on. If you look at the Bible and go back to Bereshit or Genesis, and you go to the very first chapters, the first few chapters. The first chapter starts out with Elohim, Yahweh, creating the universe and creating the environment that humanity finds itself in. And he's very excited. He's getting everything ready for the children that he's going to have. He spends the first 5 days or ages, however you want to interpret the term Yom, the Hebrew term Yom, getting ready and creating. And then the cream of his creation, to top it all off, he saves the best for last, where he makes humanity. He makes man and woman, okay, humanity, Adam. Then chapter 2 seems to be going a lot into the details, the specifics of making woman, and there might be a little more to chapter 2. I can't remember for sure. But anyways, he gives them instructions. The first instructions that he gives them is to have lots of children. Now there's a specific human act that produces children, and he wants them to do that act a lot. Okay, so that's his very first instruction. Do that act, and do it a lot. His next instruction is to rule over and be the top of the world around you and the animals. So to rule over them, not necessarily to abuse them, but to be taking care of them, but to not be subservient to them, for them to be subservient to you. So, but to be doing it in a caring, responsible way. And then he's also saying, do it with the land around you and your environment. Subjugate that and make it serve your purposes. Now, again, of course, it's supposed to be done in a responsible, caring way, but that's what he wants. And then he says, all this stuff is for food. All the green plants and the trees producing fruit, they're all food for you. All this stuff is food for you. There's just one thing I want you to restrain from, and that's eating from this certain type of tree that's not supposed to be for food. It's kind of like poison ivy isn't supposed to be for clothes for us. If he had said, don't make clothes out of poison ivy, just sewing poison ivy without treating it or anything, trying to make it a little more human friendly, just using poison ivy for clothes, you'd be like, don't do that. So going into chapter 3, we find that the serpent deceives Eve, and Adam falls with her. They both fall into disobedience, and Yahweh comes along and he's basically like, who is messing with my kids? And he's not happy about it. And first he questions Adam, and he says, what happened? Were you eating the fruit that I told you not to eat from, the tree that I told you not to eat from? And Adam's like, it wasn't my fault. The woman made me, the woman got me to do it. And Yahweh's like, oh no, it's worse than it's as bad as I was thinking it was going to be. So he questions Hawa, and he says, what happened? And she's like, the serpent was the one that got me to do it. And Yahweh's like, that's what I thought. Okay, I'm going to the serpent. He's the source of the problem. So he's talking to the serpent, and he questions this. He doesn't even question the serpent. He just goes to the serpent because he knows the serpent did this. Or shining one. Serpent or shining one. The Hebrew word, from my understanding, can be interpreted either way. So he says, because you've done this, you brought a curse on yourself more than all the other created animals, more than the other created creatures. You were going to eat dirt, dust, basically death, all the days of your lives. And that lives, I think, can infer the Shining One's offspring. He says, I separate you by hostility between you and between the Isha. So he's like, no longer are you going to be able to just have the Isha on your side. No longer are you two going to be able to be united and be opposed to me. There's going to be hostility between you two. I'm separating you. And between your seed and her seed. And that seed there, which is very interesting, is a... here, let me go down and look at that really quick. Oops. It's a collective singular noun, like the word group. Group is just a singular noun, but it's a collective. It means more than one. So that's the word that's used for seed, from my understanding right there. Collective singular noun. So basically her offspring, whoever Hawa's offspring would be, is included in this. And then he says, he will fall upon you a head. So, and that fall upon basically means attack, or bruise, or crush. So he's going to fall upon you, but he's going to be the head. And you, the Shining One or serpent, will fall upon him, but you're going to be the heel. You're going to attack or bruise or crush him, but you're only going to do it to his heel. And you're going to be the heel. So he's going to be the head, the top. He's going to come out on top, and you're going to come out on the bottom. And that he, I think, is significant because there's other places where, like, I can't remember the exact verses, but it's saying, like, I'm going to get Judah, and we're going to go attack so-and-so. But when he's saying Judah, he's referring to the whole tribe of Judah. So he's not just referring to one person. So this he may be referring to more than one person, but it can also just be referring to one person. So when it says the seed, and saying the he and the seed will be the head and come out on top, that he can be referring to a specific individual, which I believe is referring to Yeshua HaMashiach, the Messiah, commonly known as Jesus. But it's also referring to Hawa's offspring, which would mean humanity, which would mean all of humanity. So that's the first thing he does, the first thing Yahweh does after there's the fall from being upright, after they make their first mistake and humanity gets plunged into making mistakes, as humanity's done for the past however many thousand years. The first thing he says is humanity's going to come out on top. Humanity's going to come out as the head. Your seed, the collective noun, as in like group, the seed, the totality of humanity is going to be coming out as the head. And the he specifically can be referring to Yeshua. So Yeshua leads the way. Yeshua leads the way in the good news. He's the one that is the fulfillment of this. The fulfillment of conquering our adversary. But then everybody else gets included in it. So, I'm trying to remember if there's anything else I wanted to add to that. I don't think so. But as far as I can tell, that is... Oh, there is something else I wanted to add to that. Let me see how I'm doing time-wise. Oh, I'm good. The very first letter of the first word of the first verse of Bereshit, Genesis, is the Hebrew letter Beit, and it's a picture of a tent, a pictograph of a tent. And what I got out of that letter is it's basically saying Yahweh is going to build his tent, his house, his home, his family. And that's what that's the purpose behind all of it. He's building his family. And then the first word, Bereshit, let me look again really quick. Is composed of letters that are pictographs and that can form the message from his own house the foremost or head man of the ultimate power will be destroyed or killed by his hand on a cross for the covenant. So, if you combine Bereshit or Genesis 3 verse 15 and the first letter of the first word of the first verse, combined with the first word of the first verse, Yahweh's building his house, his home, his family, and he's from his own house, the foremost headman of the ultimate power will be destroyed or killed by his hand on a cross for the covenant. The covenant being the relationship that humanity has with the Almighty. And when things are put to the test, and Adam and Hawa are they go into temptation and they fail the temptation, and they fall out of relationship with the Almighty, he says, just so you know, from your offspring are going to come out on top out of this situation. Your seed, so basically all of their offspring, all of humanity is going to be coming out on top. And the one that's going to be leading the way is Yeshua, the one who died on the cross and came to life again, who was an illustration for how it's going to be for us. We're going to die and come to life again. That's the good news, right there. Just that verse, and the first word and the first letter of the first word show the good news right there. I'm going to do the next verse that I think shows, demonstrates the good news, but that's the first verse. So, welcome comments, welcome feedback, anything anybody wants to offer. But if you want to know the fate of humanity, every single person, they're the seed of Adam and Hawa, and they come out on top. Everyone comes out on top. Yeshua's death was for all humanity. His mission was to rescue all humanity. He didn't fail in his mission, and he leads the way, and he leads by example. He dies and comes back to life again, just like everybody else will. I'll go into that in more detail in future videos, but that is my first initial verse demonstrating the good news, the gospel. Thank you for watching, and have a good life, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.